What do you hate about the school system? That you get in trouble when you fight back after you've been hit. I got detention growing up because my bully shoved me headfirst into a locker. I didn't even fight back, but I was a participant in a fight, so the zero tolerance rules meant I got punished as well. This kid wanted to fight me, and I kept saying no. Eventually when he tried to punch I said, and I quote, "Get it through your thick skull, I don't want to fight." He cried, went to the principal, and I had to apologize because I didn't want to fight someone. I'll never understand this, and will raise my kids to not start fights, but don't be afraid to end them. Kid and have a rule of punched first, kick em back. If kicked first, drop kick em back. When I'm old, if my kid gets suspended for fighting back, I will act like it's school vacation and let them do whatever. I remember our principal told us all that if someone attacks you to let them beat you up, or you would get expelled. And this is even more absurd when you remember that in the criminal law self-defense is not only allowed, but justified. I beat up a bully in elementary school and the bully got a longer punishment. Turns out I was actually in the wrong in that case. I thought he said something he didn't, and only found out years later when a friend who stood up for me admired to lying for me. Good teachers are underpaid and undervalued. And bad administrators are overpaid and overvalued. I feel both of these comments so much right now. Learning only to pass the exams and forgetting it afterwards. Yeah, it's about whether you know what you need to at a certain time. That's why cramming worked so well for me. Zero tolerance policies. Zero retaliation policies at my school. Ditto, there's even a film about it, War on Kids. Zero tolerance. If a bully messes with you and you defend yourself, you're also in trouble for defending yourself. If I had a school, there would be a self-defense clause where, if there was substantial proof that the kid was defending themselves, they would exempt from punishment. Won't work. Usually the kids getting bullied are disliked, and everyone who saw will say they started it. After I left, they made it so that you don't even have to fight back. Just be attacked, and you're in trouble too. Even if you immediately collapsed on the floor and curled up, you'd also get in trouble. I guess because they wouldn't hit you if you didn't do or say something to make them do that. Your username describes this school perfectly. You don't even have to defend yourself. That's when you go medieval on those people. When I was getting picked on, I made sure I was the meanest and craziest one. They left me alone after a while. The fact that your level of intelligence in the system is based completely on your ability to memorize random facts, not capacity for logic, understanding, self-awareness, emotional knowledge, reasoning, planning, creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. Sure, the American schooling system touches on a few of these, but your overall grade is based on a test that requires ultimate memory skills. How would you test emotional intelligence and creativity? Many of those are skills which are to be learned and further developed as you live. Parents, living conditions, even schools influence all of the before mentioned abilities. Standardized testing. Can you please elaborate? I don't live in the US. In the States, we have periodic standardized testing. The school is judged by the scores, and certain tests determine how far we can go academically. Examples would be tests for specialty high schools, the ACT, and the SATs. The last two can limit what colleges and learning institutions one gets accepted to, and it's a domino effect from there. That's only the tiniest part. The big issue is schools get funding based on performance. School with poor scores lose money, causing their scores to get even worse as teachers leave due to low pay and aging equipment. HS teacher here. Yeah, standardized testing has led to unintended consequences and a lot of angst. The reason things like graduation tests were implemented is that there was a rash of scandals back 30 years ago where students were graduating HS, but who could not actually read. Some prominent college football players had this issue, and so the outcry to prevent this from happening led to standardized tests. I started teaching in 1993, so I was around when all this was being implemented, and most people supported it. It's gotten to the point where the primary goal is to get children passing a standardized test vs truly being educated, having critical thinking skills, and instilling a culture of learning. There are actually classes held to teach kids how to take tests. I had one when I was taking the SATs way back in the 80s. Here's an example of what taking a class to take a test means. The SAT says that if you guess on an answer you have a 25% chance of getting it right. Not true. If you have no clue, pick C is the answer 28.62% of the time and A is right just over 26%. B and D are under 25% with D being something like 20% or so. In other words, random guessing is wrong, but strategic guessing works, especially if you can eliminate one, or especially two choices. My favorite and best teacher is literally bullied by the other staff because we like him. We have voted him best teacher every year in some teacher awards thing. It means the school gets a certificate in the post every year, and they hate it. That's pretty sad. Oh man, how come I wasn't voted? Like I know I overly mistreated these kids' lives, but I don't deserve to get treated the same way. This is literally their logic. That it's more segregated now than it was in the 70s, and severely divided by class. Wealthy kids go to well-funded school, poor kids go to poorly funded schools. There are many more problems, but this is the first and foremost, even more than standardized testing. I think it needs to be segregated by ability instead. Being stuck in the same class as people who could barely read was infuriating, and I was totally checked out before I got to high school. Either that or reduce class size by half, have an honors and a regular class of each separate subject, all the way down to first grade. That way students could accelerate the things they are good at, and get help with the things they are struggling with. For instance, in elementary school I would have been in honors math, reading, and science, but regular writing, and music. I really never got the attention needed to improve my writing ability past rudimentary, and it shows. I think had I received extra instruction and useful feedback as early as the first grade I would have been better prepared for what was instead like being hit by a semi-truck upon entering college. It used to be like that in the 80s and early 90s. Then, the Gen X parents had a fit and demanded that our students be integrated into the honors classes as a way to boost their grade point average. While this works on a small scale, think one child mixed into a higher level class, it doesn't work when 50% or more are performing at a slower level. Unfortunately, those same Gen Zers are the ones who are working to fix these problems. Getting them to admit that they are the ones who created it and to revoke these idiotic rules is the hardest part. I'm sorry, but attracting students is how you end up exactly where we are right now. Kids going to college who don't need to, and thus entering debt for degrees with small job prospects and stigmatizing trades. Yes, there needs to be a clear distinction between academic courses and honors APAB level courses, but fracturing the academic level is not a good idea. How politicians get to meddle with it all the time, at least in the UK. Similarly, I never see a positive news story about education in our mainstream media. The fact that you get punished more for showing up late a few times, even though it starts at an inhumanly early hour, than bullying or making racist-homophobic comments. Our school had the same punishment if you were late, or if you missed a class, so if I was late I would purposely not go to class. Even better is that being late can get you more punishment than just blowing off the day. In Australia, I always started at 9 AM and finished at 3 PM. I hear it's different in the US. Edit. In my home state, in the public school system, college refers to year 11th and 12 and high school refers to years 7 to 10. So when I was in college, I recall started slightly earlier and finishing a little later. In the US it depends on the state, but some schools like mine started at 7 o'clock sharp, and you had to be in the school and in your classrooms at 6:30, and we got out of school at 15:30. In 3rd grade, they banged tug-of-war cause one kid got hurt and his entitled mom complained to the school system about it. They banged dodgeball across the whole country because some mommy's little angel got hit in the face. I think that one came from my middle school. We were pretty sure the kid was faking it anyway. The eye he got hit and kept changing sides for some reason. Would have been mid 2000s. In my middle school gym classes we only played dodgeball. My gym teachers must have shared a playlist of dodgeball songs as well. To this day I can't listen to Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys without ducking slightly. Yeah, we still play dodgeball at our school lol. They even let us big kidder play with the youngin. I remember when I was in 2nd grade we were playing soccer with junior high schoolers and this one kid rocketed the ball right into this kinda autistic girl going downhill since this incident, and she did cartwheels in the air. I laughed. What country was this? That's so true. We couldn't play dodgeball in PE class because someone could get hurt. As far I have played dodgeball I have never seen anyone seriously hurt. At the high school I went to they called dodgeball slaughterball because it was played with slightly overpumped volleyballs in a small room and the middle line would be removed once there are few enough people.